This nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. November 4th, it begins. Be there. Join with thousands who gather in cities and towns across the country. A movement of protests that continue every day and night, growing until we become millions, determined not to stop until the regime is driven from power. $18 billion put in by George Soros to be led by Linda Saussure, the pro-sexual mutilation Muslim. There's a full-page ad put out by Refuse Fascism that is a George Soros-funded group. You cannot make this up. And it says it begins November 4th. Overthrow Trump. Overthrow the government. But then when I cover the fact that they're planning this big launch November 4th, building up to the one-year anniversary of Trump being elected next week, that I've made it up. There are actual news articles out there saying, I made it all up. Nothing's coming November 4th. Well, we've already seen Vegas. It's got Islamic ties, clearly. And we just saw this last night. And you better believe it's coming and coming soon. And you better be aware of it and awake, folks. We're going to play some key audio. In fact, it dovetails with that information right now. Zach called into the show yesterday. He's been calling in for years, but he recently got out of being attached to the Army Special Forces Command in Florida. And he didn't give us any secrets. He talked about what he as a private citizen is talking to his friends about and what he's researching and the information he's getting. And the reason I know he's credible is because I get the same information. Sometimes he has more than I do. Sometimes I have more than he does. But he's given us a lot of great information. Nothing secret. Just the fact that they're getting a lot of chatter about Islamic attacks coming, which we already see happening. Now, he was going to come on today for a full hour as a guest. As soon as he hung up the phone yesterday, he got a call and got called into a meeting for what he was talking about on air and may not be able to talk to us anymore, even though he wasn't giving us anything secret, ladies and gentlemen, because the higher-ups don't want the American people to know what's happening. They don't want us to stand with the president who's been predicting the Islamic attacks and how it's linked up with the left. That's why they'll announce their attacks, announce that they're going to cop kill, announce they're going to get violent, announce they're training militarily. All the intel's come in. We've shown you the undercover videos, all of it. And then they go, oh, Jones is making that up. Veritas is making that up. Louder with Crowder's making that up. We're not planning anything November 4th. And then they've got big, giant articles. This nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. November 4th, it begins. Be there. Join with thousands who gather in cities and towns across the country. A movement of protests that continue every day and night, growing until we become millions, determined not to stop until the regime is driven from power. $18 billion put in by George Soros to be led by Linda Saussure, the pro-sexual mutilation Muslim. Now let's go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and go to the intel they don't want you to hear about companies that should be investigated and looked into for what they know. Because Saudi Arabia has promised, through its surrogates, to carry out terror attacks in Russia and the U.S. before if we didn't follow their orders. Quote, in tourist areas. I'm not saying that's what happened. This was an Islamic attack last night, though, of Wahhabism. That's what ISIS is. So that's a Saudi Arabian gift. A beautiful thing, as Jake Tapper said. Allah Akbar, so beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. So here's the intel they don't want you to hear. Let's go to Zach in Tampa, Florida. Zach, you're on the air with Shepard of Intel Hub.
Yes, Alex, Shepard, great to be on with you. Had to connect some dots because what they pulled off here in Vegas was just too far. So first and foremost, what we have is, and this is public knowledge, you have the Foros Fund Management Group, the LLC, putting $42 million worth of put options on the MGM on August
I forgot 14th. That. Yeah, I mean, a record put option the week before. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean that's just part of it. So I mean you can't look past that. That's obvious. But also what we have here is the private military company, the Saudi Arabian-based ETS Risk Management company.
And that's confirmed too. Everything the caller is saying is documented because this is the final pieces. You had all this royalty there, and you had the Saudi Air Force there that week.
So yeah, this ETS Risk Management Company is a PMC that's real shady, and they don't work now within the government because who's in the White House, but they did work during during Libya with the Clintons. If I got some guys down here in the forensic accounting. If you look into the contract,
so let's start over. Zach's recently gotten out of the military and the whole intelligence area. We'll leave it at that. Told him a lot of good info in the past 6 months. So just start back over because this is really important.
Right. So the timeline's pretty unprecedented. Let alone with so you got the $42 million worth of put options done by the George Soros Fund Management Group, and also you have a contract being fulfilled by ETS Risk Management. But this contract was not fulfilled by DoD. Okay, so this is sort of this is where it gets tricky, but they were working, and there are PMCs that work kind of in vacuums in Libya, in Syria, and they do certain drills stateside as well. But they were there that weekend. Everybody knows they were there that weekend. So this is a private company that is actually ran, and you can pull them up, ETS, but they are ran out of Saudi Arabia. But they did work during 2013 in Libya, and that's fiasco. So when you're saying, and people bat their eyes saying that this is Islamic, this is Islamic, not in the sense that it's done by Islamic groups, but in a way, ISIS itself was a creation of these private military groups. And if you want to, back in the day, they terms like Al-Qaeda, and this is real. So you have these private military companies that are backed and run by the deep state, creating this chaos around the world. And with full validation, 100% ETS Risk Management was on the ground in Vegas that night. And this gentleman who you have on, who's talking about these choppers being in the area, he's spot on. And the next thing I got to bring up is the forensic accounting that's going to be brought up, because there's individuals that are aware of this. In today's day and age, when you have these transfers and you're transferring large sums of money, people in the intelligence agencies who are either in or out are not going to stay quiet. And this is big, and this stuff's coming out right now. So you have to put everything in perspective in the context of during this whole war, these wars in Libya and Syria where they're destabilizing the region, there were legitimate private military companies given hundreds of millions of dollars to kind of, create this war there. So when you have a new administration come into power and they're no longer, getting those paychecks, it's not like they pick up new hobbies. Okay, there's still guns for hire and they're still working. And technically, there's still ongoing investigations. So I believe that Trump and the White House is aware of what's going on. This is a battle within, I guess you could call the deep state and the legitimate government, because the reason that there were multiple teams there is because they were aware of what's going on. And the reason that some of these Saudi interests are allowed to be there, how can they be there, what's going on? They have certain diplomatic immunities, and there's ongoing, projects and missions going on. But with this specific PMC that was there working, this is pretty important. And if you notice the timeline, you have a war within what is the White House now and all these, quote-unquote intelligence agencies going on. On 60 Minutes on Sunday, you also have the Emir of Qatar coming out, okay, who was sanctioned by the Saudis, the Bahrainians, and all this other stuff. And we have our U.S. assets and our legitimate PMCs in Qatar there. The Emir of Qatar talked about this PMC that he kicked out of his own country, and then you had the Saudis attacking him.
And remember 3 years ago, Bandar Bush threatened the Russians for the Olympics, and he threatened the EU that if they didn't go along with the Syria takeover by the ISIS Al-Qaeda forces, quote, we'll launch terror attacks inside of your tourist zones. So is this the same thing the Saudis threatened Russia with?
100%. And it's sophisticated. And the weirdness of it is they have backing, this quasi-backing from the U.S., not the legitimate U.S.
What's going on, everybody? I'm a Glock fanboy. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day so far. What I wanted to come out and talk about today is this whole thing I heard yesterday about November the 4th. And apparently Antifa is coordinating within different groups around the country or whatnot. And they're planning on having what's called a Day of Anarchy on November 4th. And they're trying to do the whole Guy Fawkes thing or whatever. And it's funny because these people don't even apparently know the history or the actual events surrounding Guy Fawkes and or what he was even doing, because these people have seen way too many movies and shit, and V for Vendetta primarily, and it's just funny because if these people actually knew what Guy Fawkes was about and what his plans were and what he actually did, they probably wouldn't be siding with him. But who knows? These people are absolutely retarded. But I seen different videos or whatnot about it. Antifa planning with other groups of Antifa around the United States or whatever. And on November 4th, they're apparently supposed to have a day of anarchy or whatever. And they're talking about like it's the first day of the revolution or whatnot. And you know what? Honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy. Dude, we've been like on the verge of the Great War or whatever for what seems like forever. And I'm just ready to get it going. I'm tired. Dude, these people are obviously not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to have a discussion with these people. You're not going to be able to have an intellectual like debate or about what is actually going on. Anytime that you try to even come up with facts or statistics or, you know, real life events and occurrences or whatnot, first thing out of their mouth is to call you either a racist or a Nazi or what. And I'm done.
Good morning, everyone. I usually don't make posts, especially vlogs like this, but
Okay, this is the video I said I would do about Antifa and what they're trying to accomplish. I want to start off by saying I've thought a lot about that video I did with the lion and the jackals, and I kind of rethought that because I know what the end game is here. And to start it off, the end game here is martial law, is provoking Republicans, patriots, whatever, you and me, into this huge battle, whether it's just fighting or whether it's guns. And what they will do is they will throw up their arms and see, I told you so. They're violent. Now, that's just it in a nutshell. They want us out there with our weapons so that the government will commence with martial law. And then I believe serious gun control / confiscation. At this point, they've already been declared a terrorist organization by the FBI. So why should we give in to this crap and fall for this trap that they're setting? And that's what they're doing. They're setting a trap. And it's the left that has done this. It's not only the left, it's the way our children have been raised by us and by the school system and what they're learning and what they're being taught. It's all horse malarkey. They're not being taught the truth anymore. This piece of dog squeeze that's on the screen right now, George Soros, is the one funding all this, along with a lot of the left, too. These people are not stupid. They know, Antifa, they can't win this war. This is not about winning a war for them. They know they can't win it. If they started arming themselves and training today, it would take them 200 years to catch up with us. We all know that. It's not possible. It's just not possible. Remember what I said. This is a trap. These wastes of oxygen that we all could be breathing right now. Know that we love this country and know that we love everything about this country. And that's why they're doing all this damage, because they know it will provoke us. I'm warning you to let this go. You've got to let it go. Because this is not going to end well. as far as our rights are concerned. It's just not. I don't know how many people I can reach with this video, but I swear this needs to get to everybody, because I know there's going to be people out there that are going to try and take these jerks on, and it's going to ruin everything. It's going to put the rest of us in a bad spot, and we'll all be losing our rights. Please subscribe and please share this video. More to come.
We want to be perfectly polite. We don't want to offend anybody. Meanwhile, the cost was the public safety.
Hello, my name is Klaus von Eisenhower, and after several decades, I have finally achieved a technological breakthrough in the everyday pillow. I've invented the ghost pillow by Nature's Sleep, the same guys who introduced the ghost bed. Talented young fellows, our patent-pending phase-change material adjusts in real time to your body's needs in order to keep you cool. This responsive design ensures the perfect combination of support and comfort. Basically, it will be able to...
Antifa plans civil war to overthrow government.
I have, on the border between just a regular rifle and an assault weapon and a sawed-off style shotgun. Shit, and
yeah,
you need
last
supplies,
ditch here.
blue Subaru with a dent on the side, on the driver's side. That's mine.
You go down to the military surplus store, the Navy surplus store, whatever. You can get a K-bar for $30-40, and it's just a combat knife. It's a fixed blade, 5 inches or so, but it's just you strap it on your leg and you're good to go. I mean, this one's tiny, so you have to really stab them.
Yeah,
last ditch is going to be
blue Subaru.
Durham down here.
And remember, a month ago, we had Mr. Hagman on, Doug Hagman, and he said, we're doing what Veritas has done. We have embedded off-duty and retired police officers and private detectives going to these meetings across the country, and they're handing out AK-47s, shanks. They're planning their attacks on public officials, police, and they're planning the attack coming up the next few months. Well, now we know the date. It's November 4th.
But what's most disturbing here, in addition to, of course, the funding that goes back to Alliance for Global Justice in one case, and, of course, all of the normal groups, the Soros-connected groups, we're seeing some funding that's a degree or two separation away from the Organizing for Action, Obama's group. And I say that with some reservation, but when you start to unwind the money trail here, and that's what we do is follow the money, we can see where the Organizing for Action is part of this, as well as in one case, one of the very well-known opposition research groups that provided the DNC and the Democrats information about Donald Trump and specifically Donald Trump, is actually sharing some office space with a local Refuse Fascism chapter.
And I want to make something perfectly clear, crystal clear, that we are not dealing with anti-fascists. All right? We are dealing with neoliberal fascists. They are neoliberal fascists. Stop accepting the narrative of these neoliberal fascists. The Soros, Obama, Clinton machine, plus the deep state. What are they about? They are ahistorical, non-critically thinking lunatics controlled by the Soros, Obama, Clinton machine and the deep state. And what is their objective? Their objective is to revise history in their own image and ultimately to destroy our nation. I say no to that.
They mean business, and they're being funded by George Soros and others. And they think when a bunch of cops get shot in the back of the head, or talk show hosts get attacked, or more congressmen get shot, that we're going to roll over to them and follow their political correctness and their globalism and gut the country. You people got another thing coming.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill 25 million people.
See, we're winning politically, we're winning intellectually, and they want to overturn that. And they're hopping mad that the economy now is at 3.1, something they say can never happen again. And it's online at current growth rates be at 3.5 by the end of the year. They don't know what to do. And Trump gets these tax cuts through, the economy is going to roar. And what are they afraid of? They're afraid of the cornucopia of the free market. And they're afraid of that, and they're desperate to break this country's will now. Mainstream media's dying. Democratic Party's dying. The Republican establishment's dying. Anti-establishment candidates are winning across the board. In every special election, Democrats are being defeated, and establishment Republicans are being routed by patriots. And suddenly, the numbers are coming in from black groups, Hispanic groups, and others. They're shifting to conservative or libertarian in massive numbers as the awakening accelerates. The globalists push too hard. So, what's going to happen? They're going to go to the violence card, and they're going to go to the false flag card. This is it. Get ready. Let's go to Devin in Florida. Devin in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen,
took money from pro-Russia political figures in Ukraine and funneled that cash through lobbyists in D.C. One of the lobbying firms Manafort hired is called the Podesta Group. Its founders, Tony and John Podesta, are probably the single best connected Democrats in Washington, in part because they're among Bill and Hillary.
They've gone to total disinformation level, and that tells you this is a major operation, what we just witnessed, and what everybody can smell coming out of the tragic events in Nevada. New doomsdayers taking up arms and prepping for catastrophe are the American liberals. So, as soon as I announced 15 minutes ago that at the bottom of the hour, where we are right now, 11:33 Central Time, that we were going to be posting more evidence of Antifa working with radical Islam and connections to the reported mass shooter suspect in Vegas. As soon as that happened, our IT people called another state, we've got some here as well, and said we've got a giant bot attack that just started on the site. We're talking within minutes of me announcing it, trying to bring down Infowars.com. So that site is up and down. We were barely able to even upload this report. Newswars.com is having it uploaded to it right now as a backup, as well as prisonplanet.com. But I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, working on this and having other sources give me information. But here's what we know right now. They've gone to total disinformation level, and that tells you this is a major operation, what we just witnessed, and what everybody can smell coming out of the tragic events in Nevada. They're in Las Vegas. Again, they announced in the morning that ISIS had officially on their website and on their own encrypted site taken responsibility for it and even gave out the Islamic name of the reported shooter. Then, within hours, the media came out and said Alex Jones made it up. They said it in hundreds of publications. Alex Jones made it up. ISIS never took responsibility. Now, the FBI officially said that ISIS came out and took responsibility. The British government came out. They did it on their official website. The media just totally is lying to the public. They've chosen me to be the symbol of fake news. And so they say, oh, it's Alex Jones. He says it's deep state working with ISIS, and ISIS never took responsibility. And then now today, the New York Times says it's not true. Fake news reported ISIS did it. They're not saying ISIS is wrong or ISIS is lying. They're just saying it never happened. Now, what does that tell you? They don't want there to be a debate about this. They don't want you to know that individuals, organizations have come out and taking credit for it. They want to say, we don't know what happened when a giant concert full of 23,000 people, 80+% of them white, get targeted when the left says we're coming in October to start killing whites and Trump supporters. And we're going to overthrow the government. And we're getting armed and we're getting ready. And in meeting halls all over the country, Doug Hagman's exposed it. Steven Crowder's exposed it. Paul Watson's exposed it. Drudge Report's exposed it. Project Veritas has exposed it. We have all exposed it. And InfoWars has shown the videos and shown the articles and shown where they say they're doing it. I go to gun ranges to get intel. They say, yeah, most of our business now isn't libertarians or conservatives. It's liberals in here preparing for a civil war. And there's just women with hijabs everywhere firing full auto and semi-auto because these are gun ranges where you can rent the guns and do it. So new doomsdayers taking up arms and prepping for catastrophe are the American liberals. There's that article. But I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to get into some of the other news. When we come back at the start of the next segment, I'm going to get into the Middle Eastern connections and the evidence piling up there that they don't want you to discuss while the media plays dumb, just like they did to the Pulse nightclub, just like they did San Bernardino. They wouldn't say for 3+ years that Major Hassan killing 13 people at Fort Hood was an Islamic attack, even though he was in contact with Al-Qaeda and with all their top people and was planning it for 2 years, and the CIA knew and did nothing and let the Army psychologist prepare his attack. And when there's an attack, they tell you it's not Islamic. And it took years to have the Army be reversed and have to admit it because of lawsuits. Fort Hood shooter Nidal Hassan petitions to be a citizen of Islamic State. But he's not involved with Islam. And it wasn't an Islamic terror attack because the FBI, run by Mueller at the time, and the CIA, run by Brennan, converted to Wahhabism, tells you Islamic terror doesn't exist in the official FBI manuals until Trump got in 9 months ago, and now it does. So a group that tells you Islamic terror doesn't exist. Remember, Obama would say, hold on, these Al-Qaeda attacks, they're not in Islam. That's not Islamic. The media would say, yes, sir, we're now little parrots. Islamic terror doesn't exist. And water doesn't exist. And the sky doesn't exist. And I'm not wearing a blue jacket and a white shirt. I mean, this is the level. Of course they're covering it up. Of course they're covering up the fact that there's these Islamic connections. Does that mean it's absolutely Islamic? Does that mean it's open and shut? Does that mean it's case closed? No. But the history, the motive, the left working with them, Antifa working with them, this whole constellation of information, and the government's history of covering it up, and the time frame we're in, and everything we've witnessed. I told you, they're going to start mass shootings all over the country. They're going to blame conservatives. They're going to blame libertarians when it's their people doing it as the pretext. And it won't matter how much evidence it's a leftist. It won't matter if it's an Islamicist. They're going to say the NRA and American gun owners are terrorists and you are to blame. Shame on you. And whether it is CBS News or CNN or ABC News or MSNBC or even Fox News is like CNN Light now. It's unwatchable. It's what CNN was like 10 years ago. They're all saying it's American gun owners and it's our fault. And Jimmy Kimmel's crying and they're saying the NRA's terrorist, which means you're a terrorist. And this is how it works. Now, all gun owners aren't just white supremacists or Russian agents. You're now terrorists. We're going to play those clips coming up as well. We're going to analyze it all. It's Jimmy Kimmel up there with a gun. Can we cue that up? Where he has a 9mm look-alike pellet gun and shoots it and says, we're going to kill you, Alex. This is a guy with bodyguards, but he didn't want you to be able to have a gun. Powerful article on Infowars.com by Paul Watson showing his armed bodyguards, but you can't. They're hypocrites. We're in an info war. Let's hit them with the truth and understand they're getting ready for more terror attacks. It's here. The season's here. Boom. Told you it was coming. It's here. Before we go any further, People are really responding to this. I don't know how long we can run it. Brain Force Plus, now 20% more caplets in each bottle, is 50% off the regular price. Our last big special was 40%. We've never done 50, but people are really responding to this. And so as you order more and we're able to fund our operation, I can go down in price. 50. That's 50% off. It's $19.96 right now, ladies and gentlemen. $19 and change. 50, it's actually 50.04% off. So over 50% off. Brain Force Plus, that we can probably run this through next week because we ordered a lot of it. But this is a mega special, never before done. Try the nootropic brain pill for yourself. It's amazing. Secret 12 is 40% off. That's got to end very, very soon. Vitamin Mineral Fusion, 50% off with the amino acids. An incredible deal. That's going to end in a few days because we're already starting to run low. 20% off on the Alexa Pure Breeze. Not a luxury, a necessity, an amazing in-house filtration system. 20% off already the low, low price. Oxy Powder, 25% off. Flush your guts out. It's amazing. We've also got 20% off Alexa Pure water filtration systems. Caveman, that special's about to end, 50% off. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. Fund the American resistance to the globalists. Fund the InfoWar for victory. This is the main battle.
What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com.
Not enough room in your closet? Save space with the new Wonder Hanger Max. Now bigger and 50% stronger. It's easy. Just place 5 garments.
The right, the conservatives, the Republicans, the good people of this country will never start a revolution. It will have to come from the hate mongers in Antifa and the liberals and the Democrats and the Black Lives Matter terrorists and the hands up, don't shoot liars. If that's where it comes from, and Alex, I don't believe it will, because they have big mouths, they have no heart, they have no soul, and they're consumed with hate. I don't think they have the courage to really fight.
Okay, we got a call about 15 minutes ago from Ted Nugent saying he wanted to pop in at about 6 after this hour, so we're waiting for his call. He wants to say some things about the situation. I've told him anytime he wants to come on, he's welcome. So I really wanted to get him on about the whole NFL thing and so many other big issues, the Puerto Rico lie, but obviously he's going to want to talk about this tragic event, 59 people dead, 500 plus wounded, and the whole official story has disintegrated. The sheriff has come out and said, we're having to look at radicalization. We're following leads on that because there's some evidence to that. I mean, when they say we're having to look at radicalization right now, that's what they did day 3 of San Bernardino, which they said, we're looking into radicalization. Sure, they both had Middle Eastern names, but okay, they've been going to the Middle East, and okay, they were wearing full body armor and screaming Allah Akbar, and turns out that the EPA had known about it for 2 years, but was ordered to stand down by Obama. So they have this history. The Pulse nightclub, Major Hassan at Fort Hood, almost 4 years after that happened, they admitted it was a terror attack. He worked for Al-Qaeda. He'd pledged allegiance to them. So it is simply mind-boggling and amazing to sit there and to understand that they have a history of covering up Islamic attacks or radical leftist attacks while the leftists are all over the news saying, go out and kill white people, go out and kill Trump supporters, go out and kill Trump. It's just everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's like sunshine or oxygen. It's an ocean of threats and violence and hatred, where if I walk down the streets in so-called liberal cities, they come screaming Nazi, pouring hot coffee on me, and gibbering obscenities. And it's a bunch of white folks trying to prove to other white folks that they really hate white people, and they're not with the white folks because they're so uncomfortable, I guess, racist around people that aren't white. They've got a virtue signal to them that they're like them, that they're their friends, until it makes everybody totally uncomfortable. and they turn into complete mental patients. So they got a big problem. They're the ones who are used to controlling the narrative in the media. They don't anymore. They're totally distrusted. They're totally disdained. They're calling for all this violence. Then a guy targets a mainly white country music venue. The Democrats celebrate. High-level officials at CBS News, Democrat strategists, Twitter, saying they deserve it. They're white, they're conservative, they're Trump supporters. Good. But then simultaneously, oh, look, they're victims. Turn your guns in. While simultaneously saying, well, but they are gun owners, a lot of them, so they deserve it. Maybe you'll grow up now. Talk about perching on victims. Talk about using a crisis. Talk about being insensitive and evil. But they're the ones that have been radicalizing. They're the ones that have been pushing it. They're the ones that have been hammering this over and over and over and over, trying to get a civil war going they said would start in October or in November. So here are the headlines on drudgereport.com, newswars.com, and infowars.com right now. Breaking. Sheriff, Las Vegas shooter could have been radicalized. They're looking into evidence of that right now. Forensic psychiatrist says gunman may have been deliberately targeting conservatives, and then walks through how much it's like the Scalise attack and meant to overthrow the government. Meant to have special elections. Colonel Schaefer, gunman deliberately targeted country music concert to kill Trump supporters. And again, how CNN, MSNBC, and others are creating the radicalized, conditioned climate to do so. Receipt shows Paddock had another guest in his room before shooting. Our sources have now confirmed that it is a real receipt. It is from folks inside the hotel, and indeed he did check in at least a day before they claimed he had. 5 days he was there and didn't get caught. Give me a break. Again, most mass shootings linked to SSRIs and other drugs, but MSM ignores that. That's from us on Monday. Kit Daniels. Now today we learn he was on medication for mental problems, and it says on the insert it can cause you to have psychotic breaks and go out and kill people. Again, we said look for radicalization, that the HRT had given us the info. Last night, the sheriff confirms they have found evidence of that. That's when the sheriff comes out and says, we now are looking at radicalization. They did that day 3 of San Bernardino as well. The next day, we learned they were jihadis and that Obama had ordered a cover-up, but the cover-up didn't last. Look at the target. Look at the venue. That's the motive. That's what Colonel Schaefer has said. That's what top government psychiatrists have said. That's what all the evidence shows. It's right in front of you. Joining us is the Motor City madman himself, the omnibudsman of the Second Amendment. And that, of course, is Ted Nugent of TedNugent.com. I wish I could have you here on better times, but thank you for joining us to give your knowledge and your important input into what we're facing. But undoubtedly, Ted, we are seeing a full-out war declared on the Second Amendment. They're going for broke, Ted.
Yeah, it's true, Alex. Thanks for having me on. I agree. I wish it could be under more.
Seeking freedom. To those committed to abolishing slavery. To those who want liberation for all. We announce the formation of the Revolutionary Abolitionist Movement. The United States was built on slavery, and despite the American Civil War, this oppression never ended. The abolitionist movement fought against this tyranny, but modern slavery and mass brutality persist unchecked. Fascism is on the rise. The state has openly declared war on our communities, threatened to ethnically cleanse Latinos, criminalize Muslims, destroy indigenous land, and oppress the LGBTQ community, while continuing to murder and incarcerate black people. The Revolutionary Abolitionist Movement unequivocally states that the plantation system must be destroyed. Today, the anarchist struggle and anti-state feminism are flourishing, and authoritarian modes of resistance are now discredited. The revolution in Rojava in northern Syria has set a new standard. With a foundation in feminism, ecology, anti-state organizing, and armed struggle, it has actualized a path towards liberation beyond 20th century nationalism. With the founding of groups like the International Revolutionary People's Guerrilla Forces, it is clear that this is the time for anarchist revolutionaries to act without hesitation. We declare our solidarity with the international anti-fascist and anarchist struggle and propose concrete steps in the fight for abolition. Revolutionary abolitionists must fight hand in hand with those facing oppression. We intend to establish a new underground railroad to free people from bondage. By building revolutionary self-defense networks, connecting them to one another, and developing militant strategies in our neighborhoods, our network will create the capacity to destroy state power and defend our communities. A new global paradigm for revolution has been established, to be taken up by dedicated revolutionaries, autonomous territories, guerrillas in armed struggle, and all those engaged in the global drive towards liberation and away from statehood, capitalism, patriarchy, and domination. We call on anti-state revolutionary groups to join the revolutionary abolitionist movement and send this message to our comrades to help build the capacity to burn down the American plantation once and for all.
On the border between just a regular rifle and an assault weapon and a sawed-off style shotgun.
If you go down to like the military surplus store, the Navy surplus store, whatever, you can get like a K-bar for like $30-$40, and it's just a combat knife. It's a fixed blade, 5 inches or so, but it's just you strap it on your leg and you're good to go. I mean, this one's like tiny, so you have to really stab them.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. And you notice I'm coming back into breaks a little bit late today because behind the scenes a lot is going on. A lot of intel is coming in. If you just joined us, Antifa plans civil war to overthrow the government. That's on drudgereport.com today, right in the middle column. It's also on newswars.com. It's a Paul Joseph Watson article. We're going to get to that in a moment. You've got Steven Crowder's undercover folks getting video. You've got the people at Veritas getting these similar videos. You've got our camera crews getting these videos out in the open. They're saying this. We have a flood of Antifa saying they are preparing with weapons, knives, guns to kill conservatives, patriots, and white people en masse. And ladies and gentlemen, when you go look at these crowds or these videos, 90% of the people are white. I don't want to demonize white people. I don't blame any group for what other people in the group do, but it's a fact that it is weird social justice warrior, crazed, self-hating white people that are trying to ignite a race war in America. Now, here is Doug Hagman on August 26th on this broadcast, a month ago plus, laying out his sources and the undercover audio and video they're getting. The full interview is an hour long. It's up on Infowars.com, but it should be added to Paul Joseph Watson's article because this is just more proof. So here is a clip of Private Investigator Doug Hagman.
Briefly, for those just joining, essentially we have a handful of investigators across the country, specific cities investigating and infiltrating these fascist groups. They've successfully done so in many cases. The latest report early this morning, 4:10 Eastern time this morning, saying, look, this one particular meeting in San Francisco, so well organized, the tactics, the training being very professional, the age of people there range from late 60s, perhaps early 70s, all the way down to late teens. This is the Resist Fascism movement. That's what they're calling themselves, but it's actually a fascist movement.
And the report says it's a lot of professionals. These aren't just the average meth head.
Yeah, exactly. These are above these are the people who are sending out the cannon fodder. The idiots you see in the street with the baseball or the bicycle helmets on and the baseball bats. I mean, those people are the useful idiots. Hire a stooge for a day or two and go out there and take a few whacks. Okay, that's who those people are. These people are the planners. These people are the architects of the chaos that we're seeing.
The brains.
Yeah, exactly. However, they're bringing in these professionals to teach, as you said, the weapons, self-defense.
They're force multiplying a revolutionary group.
Yep. Yeah. And
so it goes on. He breaks it all down, the plans to use weapons. And now we have hours of video. So no one can say this is edited, of just private meetings on the streets, just pouring in. And you go out to these things and they run over and scream, die, F you. They pour coffee on you. They have their kids doing it. This is what they're doing out in the open. Can you imagine the frothing, insane hate? And you think, well, so what if Tom Brokaw calls you a total racist? Nobody believes him. Yeah, 90% of people know that's bull. But there's a good 10% that literally think they are Captain America fighting Red Skull. In fact, more and more, they're showing up. They've put real comics out showing Captain America beating up the Tea Party a few years ago, and I'm one of the people Captain America beats up. And these people read it. They show up as live-action role players, and they just start attacking men, women, and children because they believe, take that, Hitler! So 3 years ago, they'd all go out to a park and have simulated battle with each other with rubber swords and rubber, spears, dressed like elves and goblins. Good fun. I've driven by and seen it at parks and got out and watched it. It looks like they're having a good time. But see, here's the deal. They're not just playing Dungeons and Dragons, in a field. They're now, ladies and gentlemen, believe they're battling Red Skull. Now, we can make jokes about the chirping goblin that attacked me, and the media even tries to spin it. Oh, it's fake. Oh, Jones just goes out there and it just happens. I shot more than 20 videos on the streets of Seattle when I was there for a week. I shot them live. A lot of you watched them. Every time I went out, somebody said, F you, or got in my face, or threatened to attack me. One time when the camera wasn't rolling, I walked out of a restaurant, and the guy acted like he was going to hit me with his Range Rover. I had to jump out of the way, and I thought, did that guy try to just hit me? He rolls the window and goes, F you. And I couldn't help it. I just said, man, get out of the car. He goes, he thought he was real tough. I said, just get out. Just go ahead. So, he was against folks with tats. He had big muscles and tats all over him. He was going to show off. I said, you're a coward, thug, punk. Just because of your politics and how you are, you're not going to get out of that car. So I said, get out. And say that to my face right now. So he drove down the street while I was walking, calling me all these names, calling me gay. Oh, I thought you're so liberal. Oh, I'm gay. Oh, Alex is gay, so let's put him down. He called me the pejorative terms. And of course, my response to somebody does that's always say, I'm a Russian agent, yeah. Or you say I'm gay, okay, yeah, I am. You say I'm Jewish, and that somehow is bad, okay, I'm Jewish. Then let's just move forward. I'm not Jewish. It doesn't matter, though. I'd be proud if I was. I'm going to go to Israel. I want to see Israel. They're going to say I went there to get my orders. I can't live in this world of these mentally ill people where they want to dictate and try to bully me into submission. I'm not going to sit there and go along with it. But I'm digressing. They're planning a civil war. They're pushing it in the NFL. This is all being directed And they want to make it racially based, where if you're not a liberal, that means you're a Nazi, so you deserve to be beat up, you deserve to be fired, you deserve to be thrown out by your landlord, you deserve to be killed. It's called a cultural revolution. It's a Mao model. You go to UT, where they have the Red Guard that openly march with AK-47s in Austin. They've told me to my face, you wait till the revolution starts, you're dead, Jones. And they've been beavering away behind the walls like termites forever, and now they're just spilling out. Imagine, you are an officer, just graduated from Army's West Point, and at graduation you have a hat saying communism will win. They've got the big banks, they've got the mainstream media, they've got everything.